Ramesh Srinivasan is a professor at the Department of Information Studies at UCLA. He joins us live now from Los Angeles. Welcome to the programme. So what, in your view, is the main reason behind these particular exemptions?
Well, first of all, many people should know that the S&P 500, which has been extremely volatile, as the markets have been volatile over the last couple of weeks, is primarily powered by tech companies, including hardware companies or chip companies like NVIDIA or Apple, right? So this is Trump recognizing the destruction that his tariff policy and his volatility has brought onto tech companies, including hardware manufacturers. I think that's an important thing. And that's why we saw certain types of fights occurring over the last week to 2 weeks between people like Elon Musk, who was all about cheaper outsourcing and manufacturing things as inexpensively as possible. Therefore, Tesla's big business operations in China and other locations, and people like Peter Navarro, who was one of the architects of this trade tariff policy. So I think we see that occurring, sort of a reining in, as we continue to see in general with the tariff policies. A lot of extremely aggressive gestures, then some reining in. And this is, I guess, a big part of what Trump likes to do in his sort of business strategy. The problem is that's disastrous for the markets, and that's really bad in terms of providing consumers any confidence and entrepreneurs any confidence. But it is worth noting there is a practical reason why these were lowered or these were made exempt. And I think that's because if you look, your iPhone or your computer, you might think of it as just like a single technology, but it has lots of technologies within that technology. And many of those technologies include rare earth minerals that are taken from other parts of the world, or manufacturing labor that from places that are much less expensive in their production and perhaps even their quality per cost, like China. So all of these technologies that are in things like our iPhones and so on, if you imagine that the cost for all of those is increased prohibitively, we consumers are going to take the hit, but so are American companies like NVIDIA and Apple.
Right, you mentioned Apple there. I mean, there were reports that Apple had already loaded up planefuls of iPhones from India and China to fly them into the US ahead of tariffs. I mean, it was taking it very seriously.
They had to. They had no choice. And you also note here that Apple had actually moved more and more of its manufacturing processes to India as well. So, it's a very, very dramatic set of moments that we're all experiencing where, it reminds us to some extent of during the COVID era and right after COVID, where supply chains were disastrously affected. It's an example of how, unlike the Gilded Age, which the president seems to worship, right, a time of robber baron magnates, our world is globalized, whether we like it or not. I think it's a wonderful thing that it's globalized, but trade should be fair, which is not the same as unbridled free trade. But for Trump to basically declare war and then kind of renege on it in various ways with lots of different countries for no real reason, that's why we're seeing so much volatility. And companies like Apple are going to have to figure this out. But I do note that Trump has a good relationship with big tech oligarchs. And we saw that at the inauguration. We've seen it onward. And that's probably why we see some of these sort of moderating steps being taken by the president and his team.
Ramesh Srinivasan, thank you for joining us on Al Jazeera.
My pleasure. Thank you.